If you need to record a podcast remotely, Riverside.fm is the place to do it. Alex and I have been making Two Dudes Watch Cartoons remotely across states, pretty much across the continental U.S. for 3 years now. We've tried several things, and this is what works best, honestly.
Zoom turned out terrible. We used a couple other ones that we paid for that turned out terrible.
You're looking at the interface right now. I think I'm doing the screen record correctly.
Riverside has made doing this podcast as easy as possible. Riverside FM.
Head to the link in our bio to get started. That's riverside.fm. Today.
Hey, watch this episode on YouTube.
Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Welcome back to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that's us, watch cartoons. My name's Evan.
And my name is Alex. And today we got a new one hot off the presses for you. We're here to get into the good, the bad. I'm curious what Evan thinks about this. We are coming in fresh. I don't know anything. I just finished this. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, maybe 30 minutes ago, I just finished the movie. Could be maybe one of the most fresh I'm ever coming into a podcast off of watching. So I'm excited. Oh, I haven't even said it. So without further ado, we're covering Netflix's new movie. It's called Nimona.
Yep.
Now, I had only seen a little bit about this before we decided to cover it. Walk me through why you picked it, I believe. Walk me through your preconceived notions, I guess.
I similarly have essentially zero background with this movie. I had seen some things about it. It was, on Twitter. There seemed to be a lot of hype, a lot of positive press around it, and I was like, I've never heard of this property. Well, I had no idea it was a pre-existing property.
Oh, it's not just this movie?
It's not just this movie. This is based off of a 2015 graphic novel called Nimona by ND Stevenson, which originated as a webcomic on Tumblr, which I think informs a little bit of the tone of this movie. But yeah, I didn't know any of that going into this movie, and I was like, why is everyone talking about this? It seemed
it's got a
odd to me that
following.
there was all this hype for it, and I had no idea what it was. But that's my own ignorance. But what intrigued me about this
I'm going to ask you a question, already
Yeah.
knowing the answer to it.
Sure.
But did you use Tumblr back in the day?
I absolutely did use Tumblr. That was
So did
my
I.
jam.
So did I. I don't know why
Yeah.
I asked. We were big on Tumblr. What times?
Yeah, 2011-ish. What a time.
But so, okay, you're saying
Tumblr.
this started before anywhere else. It was a Tumblr comic that someone was posting. Do we know who? Can we give them credit?
ND Stevenson.
You said it already. Excuse my ignorance. Sorry.
Also, ND Stevenson is an executive producer on She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which was another Netflix animated series. I think it's based in the He-Man universe.
I'm pretty sure it is, but ready for this? I've watched 2 seasons of it, and I haven't figured out the connection yet. Tommy's obsessed with it.
It's just the female alternative to He-Man.
I'm struggling a little. Our good friend of the podcast, Tommy Pizzulo, loves it, and he was like, "You have to watch it." And I keep waiting for the point where I'm like, "Oh, why?
How many
Where's the have
seasons
to
are
watch?"
there?
There's 5.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah,
I know.
So yeah, it was a popular graphic novel. I think it's the
That's
background of this. It's a beloved, if I'm not mistaken, beloved graphic novel. But it is sort of indicative of the style of humor and it just it feels of that time. It feels very Tumblr-esque, is what I'll say.
I gotcha. I think for me, going in blind, I knew the. I am curious. I'm always curious about people, the people who read the books versus watch the movie. I'm wondering now if people who read the comics are like, this was a good adaptation or a bad one. I'm wondering if there's more coming. I'm assuming there's probably more coming, but we can get into that. Let's talk cast, voice cast, first and foremost. I'm wildly unprepared. I can picture both their faces. Give me their names, Evan.
Nimona, titular character.
Yes.
A shapeshifter that takes the form of a human girl, voiced by Grace Moretz. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. She's she's in Kick-Ass. She's
Great
the little girl.
movie.
Great movie. She's the little girl in Kick-Ass. Also, for fans of 30 Rock, she for a brief time was Jack Donaghy's business rival. It was a classic season arc. So she's a good actress. I like her a lot, and so she was one of the reasons I saw this, and I was like, oh yeah, I trust her. And the other, not titular character, but so Bal is his nickname. What's his like government name?
Ballister Boldheart.
Boldheart?
Yes.
As like, is it spelled literally bold
yes,
heart?
Literally Boldheart. It's voiced by Riz Ahmed.
We love him.
Sound of Metal.
Big guy.
Rogue
Flea?
One. Flea. Oh, yeah, shit. Did he voice?
Flea.
Wait, did he produce that? Was he?
Yeah, he produced it, and he's the
Did he
American
voice?
voice of the lead.
That's what it was. Okay. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen it. It took me a little bit.
I recognized it instantly, baby. Flea stuck with me. It left a scar on my heart.
Yeah. We only did the rec room of it, which is a format we've kind of dropped since.
Yeah, it didn't survive.
But it's a great movie nonetheless. Go watch it.
It's a great movie. We're recommending it a second time. That's got to be a first.
And we're back. You're in real time.
Jump to real time?
Yeah, you just left the Speed Force for me.
I was looking laggy before.
Okay, so Riz Ahmed is kind of the sidekick, but even though Nimona is his sidekick, but is this secondary character in this second protagonist. Here's an
I'd say he's who the story's mostly about, even though it's called Nimona.
He drives the plot. I see what you're getting at.
Main character.
It's not the main character, but anyways.
Okay.
Tomato.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one for me. Ballister's boyfriend his character is called Ambrosius Goldenloin, voiced by Eugene Lee Yang.
I don't think I know it.
Bell?
No.
It's one of the Try Guys.
Oh my god.
Formerly.
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah.
The come up that the Try Guys have had this year. I went from never have hearing that name in my life to now being able to recognize all three of or all four of them former
You can
Try
recognize.
Guys.
I don't think I could recognize the one who was in the scandal this year by face.
I
I just
could.
know the scandal that
Evan,
surrounds him.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I love a good scandal. Like this whole thing with like the Vanderpump Rules. Never have I watched an episode in my life.
Are
I
you
know
caught
all
up?
about the drama.
Oh,
I know
that's great.
every little bit of what's going on, the main players, what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I gotta know. I'm a gossip at heart.
You want to know one of the greatest developments of that? We're pivoting a little bit. Just one of the best developments of that. A previous cast member, Jax Taylor, left the show. And after this scandal, I think Sandoval is going to be off the next season, presumably. Or maybe they'll follow him.
I don't know.
Maybe he's going to lay low for a little bit. But it's the return of Jax Taylor, who
Our good buddy.
our good buddy, Michael Cauchi, is
It's his
cousins
cousin.
with. It's his cousin. So
Unreal.
it's the return of Jax Taylor, who's a great character in and of himself.
Anytime someone watches the show, I ask them, I'm like,
He's
what do you
the
think,
alpha.
Jax? And people love him.
He's the alpha of the pack of the two Toms.
Unreal. We have that weird, wild connection. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Nimona.
Ambrosius. Yeah.
Ambrosius.
Ambrosius.
Try Guys.
So,
How, we went all the way from Try Guys to Michael Cauchi's cousin. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
of BuzzFeed alumni, second most successful.
Quinta's
say.
got to be
Quinta's number one, baby. Isn't that wild to think that she started out on BuzzFeed?
The star maker that BuzzFeed could be,
Could be.
you know,
Let's
coming
start writing for them now.
Yeah. We got to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
It's the digital age SNL.
Yeah. Here are 5 favorite episodes of Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Bring back listicles, man. Oh man. So rolling down the cast list a little bit. There's a kind of minor character. One of the antagonists is Todd or Thaddeus
It's
Sureblade.
Todd. So there's always like a serious protagonist, and then you need like a comedic protagonist. He's like the comedic.
He's
one.
the dude bro. He's the bully to Ballister. I could not for the life of me pin this voice. I was like, it sounds just like Will Arnett, but it,
It's not
dialed
Will
down
Arnett,
a little
though.
bit. Yeah. And I'm forever going to feel bad for this actor because I will always jump to Will Arnett first. It's Beck Bennett from SNL. Is he still on?
No,
He's not.
maybe no, but he. I always think of him from the AT&T commercials where he interviews little kids, and
Yeah.
those were.
Those
Grade
started
A.
out as YouTube sketches.
I know,
Before-
grade A.
Yeah.
Just those little kids babbling. Oh, great comedy right there.
There is another SNL cast member, Sarah Sherman. She's
I
a
don't know
newer
that
one.
name.
She's the one who fangirls over Colin Yost, is like her recurring bit on the Weekend Update.
You
Anyways,
lost me.
name's
Sorry,
Sarah Sherman.
Sarah Sherman. Who's she play?
Coriander Cavavarish. Couldn't tell you what character that is. Anyways,
All right, we've gone through a couple of these characters. Let's jump into the plot here because the first, I wish I would have looked, but it's got to be the first 3 minutes of the movie fills you in on a lot that we have missed. Like the really yada yada, and you know what? I bet that if there's comic book fans out there, they probably really hate the yada yada of the beginning story. But do you feel the same way I did? You're looking at me a little confused. Like I felt like they really jumped in and they were like, "Oh, here's what's happened to get you up to where we are now."
yeah, there's like a storybook opening, a la Shrek, a la Chicken Little when they're spoofing Shrek. But then they do jump right into the action, and it's like it is. I do love the world that this is set in. It's like
Lots of
medieval,
lore.
technological, so cool. Visually, the animation style is interesting to me.
It's not my favorite.
It's a little flat at times, but that's kind of like a stylistic choice. But I don't know, interesting.
I got you. But so I think this had a lot of positives here right out of the gate. So a lot of lore. It's like a knight's order from the olden days where only their direct bloodline is still the knights. Now, this is the part that gets yada yada. The queen picks a peasant and is like, "You have the heart to be a true hero." And one peasant gets to join the royal army. And it's this bloodline that has been passed down through centuries because when they started, it was like actual medieval times. And now it's more futuristic than today's society. And why? I wish I had gotten a little more why the queen did this, I guess. Or like
An
why.
act of charity.
Yeah,
She's
well,
really
it was
loved.
a weird one. Is it
Yeah.
to inspire the people? Like anyone can be a hero, because it kind of backfires. That's what I'll say. Is the intentions were maybe good, but even so, then we yada yada to the graduation. Is that what this opening scene is?
Yeah, it's like it's a competition where they all have to compete to, or no, they're all getting knighted.
They're all
Right.
getting knighted. It's like it's night graduation.
And then a murder happens. And
Is-
having no background with the graphic novel, I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
That's what I'm saying. The beginning really pumps out these plot points. He's a peasant. There's a royal bloodline that dates back centuries, and then he's getting knighted. And he's got a boyfriend who's also a knight. They're the only two knights who wear different armor than the rest of the guard. It's like, and then as he's doing it, she uses his sword to knight him. His sword turns into a laser blaster. I'm not making this up, guys. Turns into
Yeah.
a laser blaster. When it returns to his hand, offs the queen who gave him his one act of charity. And yeah, oh, sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
no, his hand is cut off by Ambrosius.
That's the net. Yeah, I was going to get into his boyfriend then. In a reaction to his knightly duties to protect the queen, chops off Boldheart's hand.
Yeah. They cut that scene weird, though, where it just shows Ambrosius pulling the sword out and then him, like, wincing in pain, but they don't show the arm actually getting chopped off. Obviously, it's, a kid's film, but it's, like, not edited in a way where it looks continuous and you can, like...
Wasn't super clear.
Directly track.
Totally agree. It was not 100% clear, but we got there when he shows up with a robotic arm. And society has twisted the story that he was the outsider and he always was excluded and only the royals can protect. What's their goddess's name? Glarth?
Glorith.
What is it? Glorith. What did I say? Don't laugh.
Glarth.
Okay, that's pretty funny. Okay,
Yeah.
and so they are the only ones who are capable of actually, like, people are literally like, oh, I can't believe we let a commoner. The commoners are like, I can't believe we let a commoner into the holy police force. Like, this is we're all fucked. That's literally what the society was like when they were knighting him. Then this assassination, which is, from our perspective, clearly was not his doing. He was very upset by it. He gets pinned on him. In a classic, he's wearing all black armor,
He is
too.
framed for murder. Who framed Ballister Boldheart?
Is that what chapter 1's called?
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah, they, again, coming into this with no background of the graphic novel, it's a lot to take in at first. But it's not really a whodunit, but it's like how do they absolve him of this crime is sort of the...
Got a
the
lot of
driving
elements that I like, though. I like knights. I like stuff based in the future. This betrayal, a mystery. I could be into this. So we start off really strong, and then cut to his apartment where he first meets Nimona.
Yeah.
Describe Nimona for the audience.
Short, pink-haired girl, shapeshifter.
Bit of whimsical, kind of trickstery. Yeah.
A quirky demeanor. And this is where the Tumblr writing comes in. She's not really talking to camera, but at times it feels like she's talking to camera. Like the first 3/4 of the film, a lot of the jokes sound like they're written in the tone of like, yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Like, that's like the style of humor. She says things like metal, which I'm sure is like a character thing from the graphic novel. So, again, that style of humor is not for me, but this is aimed at a younger audience. And
Once
that's
again, though, another element of fantasy I love. We got a Beast Boy in the house, if we're talking Teen Titans like we were earlier. Now, I pose this to you. Someone who can shapeshift like Nimona, would you not be invincible? Like, in most situations? Like, what's really bringing you down?
creativity. I don't know.
A good writer.
Yeah.
Right? Like Evan Slick.
The distribution, the platform. That's what she lacks.
Okay.
Well, before we go further with the plot, I do want to say, critically, this movie is doing pretty well. And these are some of the reasons I wanted to dig into it. Rotten Tomato meter score, 94%. Audience score, 92%. I think Letterboxd is at like a 4-star. All of the reviews are fairly positive. But the one thing that intrigues me and is why I suggested this movie is that this movie came out as a production by Annapurna Pictures through Netflix, but it started as a production at Blue Sky Studios, which did like Ice Age, which was owned by Fox, and then that was subsequently acquired by Walt Disney. So for a time, this was a Disney property.
Oh.
And Disney said, nope, we don't like the subject matter.
You know what? I bet you if they had been in a war with Ron DeSantis, they would have said, give me all the Nimona. We'll order 7 of them.
And so, I mean, should we talk about it now? Like, I think what is being lauded about this movie and fair accolades is the allegory and the themes, the LGBTQ themes, the representation. There's some profound messages in here. I just feel like it's a little muddled. Not muddled. The message comes through loud and clear. But it gets bogged down by like I don't know, some not great comedy. Like the comedy and story structure is
there
not
was
great
some
around
good
it.
comedy, but I guess I think I know what you mean is at times it felt a little cheesy, a little corny. Like the whole part where they are his boyfriend, what's the white armored knight?
Ambrosius.
Ambrosia, when Nimona is impersonating him and she's dying and she's like, and I was like, what's going on here? But turned out to be a gag. Well, I don't know. Like, I felt like it was appropriate. And there was some jokes that didn't hit with me, but there were other times I was laughing.
Yeah, there were good jokes, but were they 94% good jokes? I don't think so.
You know what?
That's my one caveat for this movie.
Always. I bet in every single episode we have brought up Rotten Tomatoes. We disagree vehemently with so many of those decisions. I don't even with the two scores, Rotten Tomatoes has the critics and the fan. We find something that like we argue or find fascinating. I'm thinking it's just a flawed site. I'm thinking they're fucked with some of the. How are you going to get Pokemon 16%? I'll never get over it. I will never get over it.
Yeah. And not to knock this movie at all. I don't think it's 94. I don't know. I can say this for the
What are
end.
you going to give it right now on the spot?
Right now,
out
on
of
the spot,
100.
Between 60 and 70%. That's what this movie lands for me.
So I think we have a bit of a different view on this. I'm giving it like a 75 to 80.
I could get up to a 75. 94% though.
I could go higher.
I think people
could
are being
go
a
higher.
little bit too generous.
I think a big part of it, I do always wonder what the critics are thinking, but a big part of it has to be it has a huge fan base. Like,
Sure.
it had a cult following. It got, like, the way you know it had a big enough following is it made it on TV. Well, it did go through production hell. Man, you know what? As a community fan, I sympathize with the Nimona stands out there that probably went through years of heartbreak and cancellations and purchasing and was sitting and reshoots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel for you as a community fan. We went through the same thing so many years.
Yeah. And no, I'm rooting for this movie. I'm just trying to. I'm dialing in my where I'm coming from for this movie.
They call you Evan Level-Headed Leon.
That's what they call me. It's on my LinkedIn.
He needs to bring down. He will bring everything to level. Yeah, that's right.
I will find a way to be a hater. No, so I mean, no, it is important to note though. I mean, that is what I love about this movie though. Are the themes that it is bringing forth, that it is bringing in a children's movie vehicle. That's what I think it does fantastically well. And I think that's why it's being celebrated. It's the rest of the kind of movie that doesn't work as well for me.
I think there's a lot of the packaging you have an issue with of
Yes,
the movie itself.
I agree.
I get what you mean. There's like this punk rock child who is like an anarchist.
It's the Tumblr. It's the Tumblr of it.
It's the Tumblr of it all.
Yeah.
You can picture Nimona spending hours on Tumblr at a time.
Absolutely. You
And-
could tell me this movie was written in 2011 because it probably in part was.
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But I thought there was a lot of fun to be had in the movie. I'm not saying this is the best animated movie or I need 17 more movies. I really enjoyed the ride for what it was. I think I was also ready to go in as a hater. This is the sad truth of it too, is we all judge books by its cover, people. Let's be honest. We all do it.
Cover.
I was ready to be a hater. I really was. I can be honest and man enough to admit that. And I was once they were yada-yadaing this plot, I was like, oh man, this isn't a good start. Once we got going though, I was along for the ride. Also, not a long movie. This is something we always
99
we need
minutes.
to. How many?
99. But to me, it felt a little long. I don't know.
Evan's like, yeah, it's still dragged.
No, it didn't drag. It's just like tonally, there are plot things that happen that I don't. It's not like a rise and fall in the story. It's like a rise, a big rise.
Now that
fall.
you're telling me this is like a Tumblr comic, it makes sense that this is a comic style. They probably are adapting out of a comic, and that answers probably a question I was trying to save towards the end. There's probably going to be 4 or 5 sequels of this, especially if Netflix. I think it broke into. I think anything that breaks into Netflix top 10 when it releases, they take note of that shit.
I don't know, to be honest. It leaves in a nice spot. It leaves in a classic. I don't know if we want to go. I mean, I'll jump right to it.
Whenever we ever give it a shit about bouncing around, I could tell you in our first couple podcasts, but we broke that shit quickly. Go ahead.
It ends with what I thought was funny. It was a nice touch. It was the classic Monsters Inc. ending. The mysterious opening the door. Or you could also Iron Giant similar ending where
you made me like it so much more. I was ready to have this debate with you. I was like, was this not a cliffhanger? But I felt fine on this cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. You calling it the Monsters Inc. Oh, it was, because I actually really enjoyed the ending. It was
nice.
We always have this conversation, like when someone dies and comes back to life in one of these properties, like, would it have been better if they just actually died? And they let me sit with this one long enough where I like felt it, where I was actually pretty excited when she came back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, no, the last quarter of this movie works really well for me. It feels like a totally, totally different movie. Tonally than the first.
Probably different comics. It's probably different. You know what I mean? It's probably different. Like first one was comics 1 through 5, or it was the first half, and the second one is 4 through 15 or whatever. That didn't add up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but even like film score wise, in the final climactic moment where Nimona has taken the final form and is wrecking the town, and Ballister stops her. There's this beautiful like orchestral score, whereas everything leading up to that is like guitar riffs, and at one point there's an electric guitar playing Flight of the Bumblebees, and Nimona's shape-shifting around town. Or no, I think it's the demon baby scene. And I was like,
you
what
didn't
are
like
we
the demon baby
What are we
scene?
doing here?
Oh, whatever. Sometimes these things catch us in different moods.
Yeah,
I liked the demon baby.
Here's what I'll say. I think I got Across the Spider-Verse on this one.
You got too hyped for it beforehand.
And you too hyped. I was like, oh, this is people are really celebrating this movie. And then I watched it. I was like,
what was that great?
It was
about
good,
it?
but it was 94% good.
And then you did the opposite effect to me. I didn't even know about these Rotten Tomato meetings, but you were like, yeah, it was fine. And I watched it today and I was like, it was good. You know what I mean? I was like, I enjoyed it. It's all about expectations.
I tried to play it middle of the road for you. It was all right.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Okay. Like I said, I just feel like there was a lot of like really fun fantasy vibes. Like, here's what I wanted to say. I couldn't put it into words earlier. There's a lot of different fantasy elements they have kind of shoved into this world, but it never felt overflowed. It never felt like, it didn't feel jam-packed. Like there was a religious like leader, there was knights of the Holy Order, but there's also crossbow laser. Like, we got a bit of Star Wars going on here. This is pretty cool. Flying cars. And a magic monster shapeshifter. Oh, sign me up. Like, there was a lot of things I was like, this checks a lot of boxes for me fantasy-wise.
For sure. I think one too many shape-shifting antics scenes. There's like 3.
I see what you mean.
Cut one of those out. Because there's like 2 escape scenes. There's the prison, and then there's the subway station.
Did you have a preference on one? The first one, when she does the wail, she wails out of there. That's where he's learning about her powers. And then you're right, there is like a whole second scene of similar antics.
Yeah, cut out the second one.
But the second one ends with that with the little girl who holds the sword up in her, and she's like, "Go back to one."
Well, so there's
me
3
through the heart.
You're talking about the third. I mean, the second one where they're on the train. She's a gorilla. Anyways,
I
there's
didn't
one
even-
too many for me.
Okay, you can cut that one. Yeah, I'm talking about the third one.
But interspersed throughout these moments are these really powerful moments where they use the shape-shifting metaphor or her power as an allegory for gender identity. There is one scene where they're back in the lair, and in the background there is like the trans pride flag in the background. So again, there are a handful of these scenes that really do such a great job of explaining, I mean, to me, a straight male, like they really put it in earnest emotional terms for even children to understand. And that's what this movie is so good at that. And so I do applaud it for that.
Yeah, there was a lot of good conversations when he was like, what does it feel like when you change? Like, does it hurt? And she was like, no, it hurts when I'm not changing. She's like, that feeling you have right before a sneeze. She's like, that's what I have all the time. And then when I change, it feels right. And I was like, oh, that's powerful stuff.
She goes, I'm not dying, but I'm sure not living.
But I'm sure not living. So
something like that.
I did appreciate all that. And then all of the Nimona stuff where she's like the monster of fabled legend. And we go back to, what's the goddess's name one more time? I'm going to mess it up.
Glorith.
What?
Glorith, like glory.
Glorith.
Yeah.
Glorith. That sounds made up too. Okay, but so Glorith. And so, the whole scene where we see it on the scroll first, where she's a giant dragon and Glorith is fending her off with a sword. But then we go back in time and we get the memory of it from Nimona's point of view, and they were friends first. This is what I'm saying. Is this movie? I feel like checked so many boxes for me. I am less in your camp. Like, I get the 92. Like, that one, I get it. I can see why people are like, this is my jam. Comic book readers and new people finding it, especially kids. If I was, much younger, I'd be like, oh, yeah, this was exciting. Like, this was good. And I felt that way now, and I'm much older than I used to be. So I think that whole scene where we see it and the adult's reaction to Nimona shapeshifting, when Glorith herself saw it, she didn't care. She was having fun with it. They were frolicking around the woods. But then when the adults freaked out and started attacking Nimona, Glorith just joined in. Real sheeple behavior. That was, now that we're talking it out loud, that's a great allegory for society. That's how kids learn the cycle of hatred. Oh, yeah. Fuck. I just learned something, I think.
Yeah. And from that scene on, wow. Honestly, this movie is entirely gripping. I love everything that comes after that moment. It just happens so late in the movie for me. Like, and that's
you were asleep by then.
Mix it in somewhere in the beginning, or like no. Hey, I will say, I watched this movie 2.33 times. Like, I started it and then I really needed to. I started it while I was working and couldn't devote enough attention to it. So I watched like a third of the movie.
Again.
So I watched it through again, probably last week, and it's been a while since I watched it last week. So I watched it again today. So wow. I'm really, I have nothing against this movie.
You're up and up on it.
Yeah.
Evan and I are wannabe movie critics. We're also wannabe chefs.
We're all doing more cooking at home now. If you want to elevate your home cooking, you need nice tools to do it. Louis Kitchenware will get you there. They have beautiful stainless steel pans, non-stick bakeware, knives, all the stuff you need. Safe, high-quality materials, constructed to last, made in the United States, founded in Detroit.
Moving into my condo, we got hand-me-downs. So this new Louis Kitchenware has been great, and we love the discount. We want to share that with our listeners.
You can use code 2DUDES, that's TWO dudes, at louiskitchenware.com, and that'll give you 10% off anything on the site.
Check out our link in bio.
2 dudes watch cartoons.
What was, in your opinion then, so you're ready, you're prepped, what was your least favorite joke in the movie?
Least favorite joke?
Which one just really made you?
I don't think there. Oh no, it's the one where she turns into an otter and bites the cast off.
Oh yeah, that was too cartoonish for you.
Not even. It's just like, Why do we need that? We had
Two Tasmanian devil, and then the knights were like, well, was it a sea otter or a river otter?
Yeah, and then also the Beck Bennett character. Obviously, I get that he's supposed to be unlikable, but
I was gonna say,
just like dial it back a little bit. Like, I don't know.
I wish he would have died.
It's a caricature. It's too much of a caricature.
You know,
what
too
I mean?
much of a douche, bro.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
maybe
I
that's
gotcha.
the point. That's the point.
I think
This
that's part of
movie's
the point.
not made for me. So,
We have talked about a lot. So there's one scene I really enjoyed, though. I covered it briefly, but where they set up the chancellor, I believe her name is, the one who has taken power after the queen has died, the religious chancellor, and she's a real the ends justify the means villain, which I enjoy as well because not saying I agree, but I get it. So she then kills Mr. Light Armor guy, Ambrosius. These names sound real made up. Okay. So Ambrosius, which turns out to be Nimona. And that was where you're like, man, it's real good to have a shapeshifter on your side. And they recorded it. And then this is one of my favorite parts of the movie is they uploaded online. And I said, this is unrealistic. It would have had 1,000 views and no comments. Come on. He's got no digital profile, no presence. I don't buy it for a minute. I'm just kidding.
This is one of the pacing issues I take issue with, though, is like, it feels like from there, we should jump right to final confrontation. But then they take this, like, there's another little dip in the action. People are further clarifying motivations. Ambrosius is going to meet with Ballister secretly.
It's a comic, Evan. You need to think about it as a comic. They have
but it doesn't work in the
drops,
movie format for me. If it were an episode of TV, it would make sense for this.
You think this could have been better as a TV show?
I think a couple episodes, a miniseries, it would have been great.
You might.
But for me, it's too much of. It slows the pace of it. Just like really throws off the pace of this movie.
I get what you mean, because that was like a very climactic, high energy moment that you're like, yeah, they got the proof. Yeah, it's all on news. And then we got to go through a bunch of character stuff where his boyfriend's like the whole scene though where they're at the bar and they're like, she's played us, like she's manipulated us. And he was like, I know the chancellor's so evil. She's like, the chancellor? I'm talking about your sidekick. That was pretty great too. That was a good scene.
Yeah, I just think this would have worked better as TV.
Ever
the hater. I'm sticking to my guns.
Okay, you got to give me. I let you be a hater for a second,
sure.
But now you got to give me your favorite moment overall. Highest high.
Highest high for this is it's in the climax of the movie again. When Nimona's in her final form. This really just
describe the
took
final
my
form
knees.
Too. What is this giant?
So normally she shapeshifts into like different pink animals, but I think this is maybe as close to a true form of Nimona as we get. It's this giant black kaiju, essentially, with glowing eyes, a glowing center, and Nimona's like little girl form that we see from the flashback is at the core of this light. And I swear to God, this line knocked me off my seat. I rewinded it so I could write it down. She says, "I don't know what's scarier, the fact that everyone in this kingdom wants to run a sword through my heart, or that sometimes I just want to let them."
Yeah, it was dark for a kids movie too. Yes. I remember that line stuck with me.
I was floored.
Yeah,
I want more of this movie, and we only get this towards the end.
I agree. I think the ending was really strong, and I think that's why overall I left on such a high note. Is because I was like, dang, that was good. But I can see what you're saying about the beginning. The pacing's a little off. They do the whole yada yada, and then they slow down at bits. They speed up for a second. Now that you've told me it's a comic book, it makes a lot of sense to me. Of this.
That's making sense to me now as well. It's sort of a realization I've come to. So
I
should be more forgiving.
I think this ending fight is great where she's literally, I think, gonna kill herself, impale herself on the statue of the sword of the little girl holding the sword out to defend the beast, and she's gonna do it. And our guy, Boldheart, man, does he have quite the bold heart, gets up on the sword and he stops her. He pushes and he says, no. that was powerful. I was like, this, and he's like, I'm sorry. I hate on it sometimes because it is a classic trope, but it's a classic trope for a reason. I do love when the power of friendship wins out. I love it.
It's a good one. It is a good one. One of my favorite joke in this movie is I don't know where it is. It's maybe in one of the chase scenes, or it might be right when she's breaking him out of jail. Nimona is, I think, holding Ballister's robotic arm, and she goes, "The One Arm Club just got some new members." That like took me a second.
Yeah. She goes, let's give the One Arm Club some new members. And also when she's trying to convince him to leave jail, he's like already left, and she goes, there was no toilet in there. Like, it's so funny to me. I was like, that's pretty classic. Yeah. She's like disgusted with it. Like after she's like, you didn't even thank me, and there's no toilet in there. It's like, that's funny.
Okay. Yeah. Some of the jokes were good, but
some of the jokes were good.
I think you're right. It's the packaging that is throwing me off.
I agree. I think we're gonna get at least a trilogy, and I'm gonna tell you by the end of it, I think you're gonna be closer to that 92 than you think.
You really think it's gonna be a trilogy?
I think it's gotta at least have one sequel, right?
I don't know.
The way Netflix spends money too, I'll see them buying 9. If it's a comic, it's probably been going on for a while. If it has like such a large fan base, there's no way. Like it's gone on longer than a year, I presume. You know what I mean?
Well,
and that's 52 episodes.
It may have turned
almost.
into a graphic novel. Maybe I should just look this up. I don't.
Yeah,
maybe
we should inform ourselves instead of debating about it frivolous.
Debating this. While I look that up, what was your favorite moment or joke?
There was a ton of jokes that were really good, but I gotta say, like, the favorite moment, the end battle's pretty great, but I think the moment that really got me over was just like the rewriting of history. Like once we see the attack from her perspective, she didn't do anything wrong. She was playing with a little girl that was loving everything that was going on, and everyone, adults, overreacted. And like I said, I think even just talking out here, learning the lesson, I think that probably was my favorite moment of the thing. It was really powerful. And then, like you said, I do think that was like the picking up point for the rest of the movie to really wrap up strongly. Yeah. And I liked the ending. They really left me on a sense of despair after Nimona died. I was like, dang, she gone.
You feel the weight of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel the weight of it. They do a good job of that.
She does like the Iron Giant style sacrifice towards the end, which is I love that. I love everything about
I Am Groot. Yeah, we are Groot. Yeah, she did. She did do one. I love that. Yeah, she turned into the most beautiful, like, flaming bird to stop the laser. Once again, the Chancellor was like, I don't care if I kill 60,000 people. I'm gonna take out that monster. Like, whoa, you're gonna nuke New York? That's it. She went Avengers. She was gonna nuke New York.
Yeah. As soon as the director was like, the monster alarm was just a test of our security systems or whatever, and it's early in the film. I was like, oh, she's the bad guy. She is.
I was like, she's trying to introduce a police state. She's trying to instill fear into everyone. Yeah, and she did a great job of it too. She's like, it's a shapeshifter. It wasn't me that did it. She's caused this whole. And I ain't gonna lie, I questioned it for a second. I was like, oh, are you a trickster? Are you the villain? And I fell for it. That'd be a pretty good twist.
That'd be an interesting twist. I don't know how they'd come back from that, but
that'd be a twist, though. I walk down every path when I'm watching the movie. I'm a good audience member.
Right. That's where you and I differ, I guess. I'm trying to skim the plot of the graphic novel
to see if it ends on the same note. Don't spoil yourself. I swear to God, if you spoil yourself.
I think it ends after. Yeah.
You think we're done?
I mean, let me see if there's like sequels. I don't know.
Nimona
I'm literally just skimming. I'm not really taking.
They left the door wide open.
I'm looking at headings, so I'm not looking at.
I'm panicked, Evan. I'm panicked. I got to imagine there's more. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. You know what? I've been wrong before. I will admit, I have been wrong before. Shrek 5 is probably happening, people. Don't tell Evan, but it's probably happening.
Oh, for sure.
Literally, after we recorded that bet on air, like, it was like a week later. Eddie Murphy's like, I'd love to do Shrek 5. What?
He's like, look, I want my money.
He heard us.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to? Is there anything else in the movie you want?
No, let's do some letterbox. Your letterbox, some hot box. That's what this segment's been called this whole time, and we never refer to it as.
We need to be
We're
more
gonna do some
structured.
hot
We need to
box.
give the listeners some structure.
We
to
have no
this
structure.
podcast.
Hot box. That's the theme song now.
4 stars. Would have been 5 stars if Todd was voiced by Will Arnett. I'm not the only one.
No, that's
sounds-
crazy.
he just
Is that
sounds
your
like a-
review. No, it's the very first one. I see
It's
it.
the very first one. He sounds like a younger Will Arnett, which is a compliment to Beck Bennett, but he will forever be in the shadow of Will Arnett for me. Unfortunately.
Okay, this one's
for him.
funny. 5 stars. Nimona needing 1,000 years to get over her toxic homophobic friend homophobic friendship with a straight girl is just like me for real. See, people really relate to this.
Yeah. And so, color any of my criticisms with, like, I recognize that the themes are powerful and resonant, and maybe they're not, hitting me as close to home. So, I'm sort of just like evaluating this as a movie.
I understand. You're allowed to be a hater here.
Thank you. This is a safe space.
Yes.
This one says 4.5 stars. Disney deserved her. I disagree. I truly disagree.
It says Disney never deserved her.
Oh,
I was like, I just read that one.
important to yes, I agree with that one. Disney
Yeah,
never deserved her.
No.
And
This was another great joke. Arm chopping is not a love language. That's good.
yeah. So this is on the Wikipedia that it says, following the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of 21st Century Fox, the parent company Blue Sky, the production received pushback from Disney's leadership due to the film's LGBTQ themes.
They couldn't have a 7th first-time openly gay couple.
Yeah, and to Nimona's credit, right in the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
they hold hands.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that you're not. I mean, you have been advocating for this movie this whole time, but like, it's just drives home the point that Disney is so wishy-washy.
They're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I
Yeah.
said that one time, and I stand by it. They are Disney with their LGBT representation wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to show it in like China, but they want to be like, oh, this is our first openly gay character, and I'm like, that you have literally said that so many years in a row now. It's not even funny.
I applaud Annapurna Pictures for getting this over the finish line.
Yeah, me
'Cause
too.
even like I think I saw some press junket or something where Grace Moretz, she was saying like, yeah, Disney was working on this at one point. So
Wow.
that's got to be pretty bad press for.
A lot of these reviews are like, suck it, Disney. Like everyone seems to know that.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't. I didn't know.
So I do like that this story has gotten to have its moment. You know, what I
So
mean?
glad they got it made. 5 stars. People see it's got a huge medal. 5 stars. It's good.
5 stars. Be gay. Parentheses. Reluctantly do crime.
I think that's a TikTok trend. I feel like Nimona and Spider-Punk would be best friends, and I agree.
5 stars. Chloe Grace Moretz saying, "If you don't, you'll die in this closet." Is gay cinema at its finest.
Oh, yeah, they're not even hiding it at that point. That's good.
See what they did there, yeah. Yeah. Watch this movie. I think it deserves to be celebrated for what it represents.
Yeah. You agreed.
To where mainstream media, or the media Goliath that is Disney, despite that, the fact that this movie has found its way to the screen through another production company is something to be lauded, to be applauded, to be celebrated.
I'm going to do those as your closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on with more.
Yeah, and looking back on it, like speaks so powerfully to these themes and things that maybe I don't relate to as closely with, but I can recognize that it is so powerful to be seen and represented on screen. So I think I'm going to move out of the 60 to 70% range. I'm going to give this a 3.5.
Wow. 3.5 out of 5 or 3 out of 5?
Out of 5. Out of 5.
3 out of 5. Okay.
No, 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of
70%.
5. Wow.
70%.
That's great. That's great. Really good. Good finding. This is what I found with both of us. Sometimes we just need to get our hating out of the way, and then we can really peel back the layers and enjoy this for what it is.
Let's have a conversation about.
Let's have a
the movie.
real conversation.
It's not 94% good. It's like there's gems in there.
We have long been saying this about Avatar. It's a fine movie. We want to have a real conversation about it.
It's a 70% good movie.
We want to have a real conversation. So yeah, I agree with you. I think for me, like I said before, what was just so great about this is it was overflowing with like lore and fantasy, and I want to see more of the world. I just assumed there was going to be more. It's so jam-packed with stuff. And so I think this is a really strong watch. I was really impressed. And so I'm happy to hear after years of production hell that this was able to cross the finish line. And you know what? Praise be Netflix. If they're listening, I still love you. So they get it right every once in a while.
Yeah.
I am really mad. You stole my thunder. I'm gonna do the 3.5 also. We tied. This is like 3 times in a row, I think. I had this planned out 70%. You took it from me first. But
Sorry.
we're on a hot streak though. This was a great movie. I really think it is something you should go see. Like Evan, I don't know it's in the 90s. Set your expectations appropriately, and you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it is out and it's loud and it's clear about what it's trying to say, and it's saying it to a broad audience, a young audience, and I think that's fucking fantastic.
I agree. Let's wrap up with some news. You got some news? Did you see? Okay, just before I hopped on here, I sent you some news.
Do you want to talk about this one?
Breaking news. Okay, apparently Nathan Fillion has been cast as Guy Gardner in Superman Legacy. For people who know what that is the worst Green Lantern. Maybe not the worst one, but there's so many to pick from. How is he Guy Gardner? Guy Gardner's the redhead, right?
Yeah, with the bowl cut. Like, imagine Mark Zuckerberg's bangs.
I feel like he looks so much like Hal Jordan.
I mean, him and James Gunn are friends, I believe. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think he was also in the Suicide Squad, but I think they're going to be leaning on his comedic chops, and I think Guy Gardner maybe veers more towards that than the classic hero.
I'm not in charge.
Role.
I literally was like, he looks just like Hal Jordan. Like, just put him in the suit and he's Hal. What do I know?
Don't dye his hair.
I know. They announced that Green Lantern and Hawkgirl will make an appearance in Superman Legacy, as well as the Authority. So I don't know what we got going on here, but we got a lot.
So one of the things that I've been seeing murmurs of on Twitter is that the universe of the DCU, Superman Legacy, that it's set in, like that this version of DC is going to be a world where Superman isn't like the first superhero. There's going to be other active ones, and he's going to sort of be this, the bright ray of sunshine in a world of like gritty, serious heroes. I don't know the source, but that's sort of what I'm picking up.
Hey, I'll take that. I really trust James Gunn now. I don't think he's missed since Scooby-Doo. So put it on a hat.
Yeah. That's interesting. Hawkgirl. I hope.
Will they have a love story? No, he's not Hal. Or he's
not Jon Stewart. No, I just hope
Jon Stewart is the one that has the love affair.
The issue, the unraveling of the DCEU was trying to rush too many properties from Batman vs Superman on. So I hope,
I trust James Gunn. I
he's
trust
got
him.
A gentler hand, a steadier hand, a little bit of a better writer than maybe Zack Snyder was.
All right. What is your news? You just sent me some too.
Apparently, a sad day. The Cartoon Network Studios building is closing, and so I imagine Cartoon Network as a channel will still exist, but the studio itself is being sort of merged into. There's gonna like under one umbrella with Warner Brothers Animation, which has done some of the DC animated stuff, but
Yeah.
the studio behind a lot of the beloved shows, Cartoon Network shows of the 90s, sort of no longer exists as a body, which is pretty
It is sad.
sad.
I'm a big Cartoon Network guy, so just ceremoniously, that's sad. I got a weird one.
Okay.
This comes from us discussing film, where we get a lot of our news. Follow them on Twitter; they're really good.
Yeah.
There's 14 live-action remakes in the works of animated properties. And I'm going to read them to you in succession. But there's Bambi, Moana, Hercules, Pokemon, One Piece, Your Name, Death Note, Lilo and Stitch, Snow White, The Aristocats, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, How to Train Your Dragon, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is this just you know what? I just worked it out in my head. I'm not even going to ask the question anymore.
What?
This is such a sick symptom of the lack of intellectual property that's out there. This is what WB's LeBron James Space Jam, where they shoved all those fucking things in there. They were like, what can we recycle next? What? Oh, let's do it a little differently. Shoot it in live action. What's a beloved cartoon property? Let's shoot it in live action. And I'm going to be honest, off the top of my head, I can't think of one live action adaptation that like holds a candle to the original. Like they're good, they're fine, they're nostalgic, but I'm never like, this needed to be made.
Yeah, there's none that have stood the test of time, in my opinion. I imagine it's only a matter of time before we get like a Frozen. I'm surprised Frozen isn't in there, since that
Give it
predates
a year or
Moana.
two.
Yeah.
Give it a year or two. Moana happened after Frozen, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
That is surprising. You know what? There's probably a bidding war over the rights. That's like big movie property.
But it's all Disney, though.
You're right. Yeah, you got a good point. I don't know how these things work. I just speculate.
Yeah, just skimming over that list, there's maybe two that Hercules, 3. There's a handful that I'm interested in.
I mean, there's ones I'm interested in. I'm gonna see them, but like at the same time, we don't need them. I didn't know there was a One Punch and My Hero one. The anime ones can be like, they've already done Death Note once, and it was terrible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's wild. We got a special guest on the
Yeah, I got a
line.
guest with me. She just woke up from her nap.
Speaking of adaptations, the trailer for what is it called? Wonka? What's the Timothy
Yeah, it just
Chalamet?
came out today. Are you ready for this? I was a hater of the idea. The trailer was bad. Trailer wasn't bad.
I don't think Timothy Chalamet has the juice for this one.
I think you're wrong.
I don't know. He does not have the charisma for me. He's a little. It's a little too put on. Him trying to act quirky, and I don't know.
I think it's gonna slap. I think you're gonna eat those words, good sir.
Prove me wrong, Timothy.
Yeah. Well, he's got Dune 2 coming out later this year. He's gonna dominate the second half of the year.
True. That will be great.
I'm excited for that. I'm like thrilled for that. You got any more news? I think I'm done.
Barbie and Oppenheimer both open this weekend. I don't think I'm gonna get around to seeing them, but
Either? The whole debate's like, which one are you going to go
this
see?
weekend? I mean, I'm going to see both. I want to see both. I wish I could see both this weekend, but in sort of the press cycle of Barbie coming out, it's come out that there are 45 films and TV shows based on Mattel toys in development.
Unbelievable.
45. So this could be the next MCU, is the Mattel Cinematic Universe, I guess.
Could you imagine? That's insane to hear. What? So like Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels is on there. Uno is one.
Uno. What
does that mean?
Uno is going to be like a Yu-Gi-Oh style game, I think I just sold myself. Like it's like Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like Kaiba and Yugi dueling, but Uno style. Might be into that.
I think
they totally rebrand Uno. I think I just pitched them a great idea. Hey, call me guys,
Yeah.
call me. I got an idea.
J.J. Abrams says his Hot Wheels movie will be grounded and gritty. JJ, what?
That's
what?
not a real sentence.
What the fuck are you talking about, JJ? Where's your Superman movie?
It's gonna be, it's gonna be like Drive. He's like, my Hot Wheels movie is gonna be like Drive.
I feel like it's gonna end up looking like the Speed Racer live action movie that had Emil Hirsch and John Goodman in it.
Don't you dare talk badly about this live action.
Directed
Speed
by
Racer.
the Wachowskis, right?
I don't know. The live action Speed Racer?
Yeah.
The one that's trippy
With
as fuck.
Matthew
and really
Fox from Lost.
So good.
The
dad is
feel like
John
Goodman.
Jeff. John Goodman? Yeah. That movie is underrated.
So I have seen that like people apparently look back on that very fondly or like really celebrate that movie. So I got to go back and watch it. But
So
it's
this
real
is,
out
you know,
there.
for the people who have made it all the way to the end of the episode. The first time I saw it, probably whatever. I remember watching the Speed Racer cartoons as a kid, though. And so if you go into it with that context, that it is like just like the cartoons,
A faithful adaptation.
yeah. And so I watched it years later, and I was stoned out of my mind, and I was like, "This is brilliant. It's so good. It's so good." I watch it probably like once a year. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's good. You just throw it on. It's a
Okay.
great flick.
Hey.
It does. You need to, it's not taking itself super seriously. Like if you're it's almost like what we wanted Cowboy Bebop live action to be like. I feel like, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if you
It
go
looks
at it with
fun.
that context, you're gonna like
Yeah.
it. The graphics are, horrendous, but it's kind of fun though. Like it's in a fun way. Like they know it's not great.
I think it falls within our jurisdiction.
I agree. We can cover it. Let's throw it on the list sometime. But yeah, that's all I got for today. I mean, this is a good watch. There's a lot. There's only so much we could get into. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. It's a solid watch. I am the hater of the pod. That's my job. So
That's your job, though. Once we got it out of the
just
way,
reporting
you
for
even
duty.
upped it. Yeah, you're good. No, we report the facts here. Good, bad, all. We cover it all.
Yeah, I think that does it for this episode of Two Dudes. If you want to wrap us up, send
You're
us
waiting
out.
on me. I don't even have my notes up. Okay.
Come on.
If you are enjoying this, please check out our other episodes. I guarantee we have something else that you love. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube as well. Don't forget to follow our social media. We are at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both Instagram and TikTok, and at Two Dudes Watch on Twitter. We also have a new Threads account. If you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Threads. That's fun. And then don't forget to rate, review, leave a like wherever you're watching. It helps other people find us, and we greatly appreciate that if you're a fan of the pod. Thanks for coming back also.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this is a good time for us to clarify
What?
something from our last episode on our TikTok.
Evan, as a local hater, we also can't stand haters on TikTok. We get so many of these haters on TikTok.
It's been a wild week. It's been on the Two Dudes Watch Cartoons TikTok. We posted a clip from our last episode about the deleted scene, and I guess people take issue with my
Don't you dare call it a
my
deleted
use
scene.
of the word deleted. The scene from the extended cut of Me Too's origin, and people just comment after comment of like, I saw this. What do you?
I've
It
seen
wasn't deleted. What are you
Not
talking about?
deleted.
And so, okay, this is the official history. And I know it from
Please.
memory now because I've done enough research. Pokemon, the first movie, comes out in Japan, 1998. Summer of 1999. It didn't have Mewtwo's origin. They add Mewtwo's origin for like a rebroadcast. That's July 1999. the movie releases in the U.S. in September of 1999. I believe they used some footage from Mewtwo's origin, the additional scene, in some of the flashbacks of Mewtwo Strikes Back in the U.S., but that scene, that plot line is left out of the movie. And so if something exists and they use some parts from it, but they cut the rest of it out, I think you could call that a deleted scene.
It's a deleted scene.
It's a deleted scene, folks.
They deleted it. The U.S. deleted it.
Yes.
And ready for this? Other countries may not have had the same copy. They might have gotten
True.
it. We've had a lot of
it was
international
localized.
Well, my version has it. I have it on VHS and mine has it. Guess what, motherfucker? I had it on VHS too. Wasn't on mine. I've watched this movie 100 times. This is the first time I've seen this clip. I knew within seconds of putting it on that I've never seen it before. Like, sorry, these people are insane. I was on a TV show. I get a lot of these hate. This is mild manner.
It's close to 1 million views, dude.
And
it's close to 1 million views.
It's almost got 1 million views. Go check it out, our TikTok. That's another plug for our TikTok. These people are savage, though. They don't read any of the other comments. Then they just comment whatever they have to say.
There's like probably 2,000 comments, and 1,000 of them are me being like,
or us
the
explaining.
U.S. original theater run. It was not in the U.S. theater run. That's
also, if these haters would look through the comments, they would see so many other people being like, what? I've never seen this. Or like, I was today years old. That's what I don't understand is like, they're not scrolling through the comments and being like, oh, a lot of people actually haven't seen this. Like, that's what's the disconnect. Like, go read the other comments. We're not the only ones saying this. Read the comments, people.
I had to get that off my chest.
That's fine.
Thanks
This
for
is a
letting
good
me
spot
vent.
for it.
Yeah. So, anyways, follow us at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. Look for that TikTok. It's almost at 1 million views.
Yeah, go
it's
give
doing
it one
big
for
nums.
us. Yeah, big nums.
Follow us, repost it, and that will do it for this episode of Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. We will catch you next time.
Two dudes watch cartoons.